Few car companies have experienced the peaks and troughs of Porsche's 70-year production history. The company was founded by a self-taught engineer, a German-speaking Czech named Ferdinand Porsche. By 1910, Porsche had become a father of two and an employee of Daimler. After more than 2 decades, he moved to Austrian firm Steyr, only to be made redundant when the Great Depression hit. 2 years later, Porsche established an automotive design consultancy in Stuttgart, Germany, with his son Ferry working alongside him. After the Nazi Party rose to power, leader Adolf Hitler awarded Porsche the contract to design a people's car for the German public. Porsche was sued by Czech firm Tatra for his work on the Volkswagen Beetle. Now a member of the Nazi Party, Porsche designed the Tiger tank and Elefant tank destroyer for the German army, and designed racing cars for Alto Union. After the war, Porsche and son-in-law Anton Piech were arrested for war crimes, but eventually released without charge. Ferry and his sister, Louisa Piech, established a company to manufacture a production sports car, the 356, featuring Volkswagen Beetle mechanicals. Over the years, the 356 graduated from a 1.1 litre flat 4 to 1.3 and 1.5 litre engines, the 1.5 debuting just months after Ferdinand Porsche's death at the age of 75. The 356 became successful in road racing events, followed by the 550, which claimed the life of Hollywood actor James Dean. The 356 won its class in the 1953 Carrera Panamericana, a Mexican road race. Carrera has been a Porsche model name ever since. Success with the 550 led to the 356A sports car and a track car, the 718, which evolved into a single-seat open-wheeler for Formula 2 races. American Dan Gurney won 2 Formula 1 races at the wheel of the Porsche 804 model, but the factory withdrew from F1 due to the cost. In 1963, Porsche introduced the 901 sports car, powered by a flat 6. Peugeot threatened legal action for using a middle zero in the sports car's 3-digit model name. Porsche renamed its new sports car the 911. The final update of the 356 was the 356C. Succeeding the 718, the Porsche 904 was another competition car powered by 4, 6 or even 8-cylinder boxer engines. The 906 that followed was the first Porsche track car to be tested in a wind tunnel and first to be based on a tubular space frame. Other racing cars followed, but the 917 remains the best known, securing for Porsche its first outright win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1970. And the 917 was the car driven by the late Steve McQueen in the iconic film Le Mans. The 911 was also successful in motorsport, benefiting from progressive updates during the 60s and 70s. Meanwhile, Ferdinand Piech, the son of Anton Piech and Louisa Porsche, moved to Audi in 1972. Larger bumpers were adopted for Porsche's updated 911 to comply with US safety legislation, and an even larger 2.7 litre engine was fitted. The 930 Turbo burst onto the scene the same year. Porsche's first turbocharged car remained essentially a 911, but a 911 with a 3 litre engine, wider tyres and the now famous whale-tail rear spoiler. A racing version of the 930, the 934, was a track rival to BMW's 3.0 CSL, and a 935 arrived later with the option of a sleeker nose. Noting the 911's advancing age, Porsche brought to market the small 924 and the V8 engine 928, both front-engined 2+2 sports coupes with transmission and differential at the rear. The 924 replaced both the VW-based 914 and the 912, a 4-cylinder version of the 911. A turbo model came later. While the 928 was expected to spell the end for the 911, strong sales of the older car prompted the company to drop a naturally aspirated version of the 930's larger engine into another update model. The 944 was a development of the 924, easily distinguished by its wider track and flared wheel arches. A turbocharged version subsequently sold alongside the naturally aspirated 944. A 3.2 litre flat 6 powered the 911 for the final update of the original 911 model line. This series spawned the 959 Group B rally competition car and 961 tarmac racing version, both cars powered by a 2.8 litre turbo engine. As the 80s closed, Porsche introduced the 964 series of 911, claimed to be 85% new. The 944 migrated to a 2.7 litre inline 4, and the new 944 S2 introduced a 3 litre version. In the early 90s, the 944 underwent a major facelift, but carried over most of the construction and mechanicals as the 968. The 911 continued to sell profitably and was facelifted for its next reinvention as the 993 series. A year after 968 production ended, Porsche introduced the Boxster, another small sports car but with a flat six mounted amidships ahead of the rear axle for better weight distribution. Stringent new emissions legislation forced Porsche to develop a water-cooled Boxer 6 for the 996 series of 911. Turbocharged and all-wheel drive variants followed. Porsche's V10 engined Carrera GT was shelved just 3 years after its launch, owing to the cost of re-engineering for upcoming US airbag legislation. Porsche also introduced its first SUV, the Cayenne, to compete directly with BMW's X5. Sharing architecture with the Volkswagen Touareg, the Cayenne was criticised at the time for its looks. More acceptable to Porsche fans was the Cayman, a hardtop version of the Boxster with larger engines. An attempt by Porsche to acquire a controlling share of Volkswagen failed during the global financial crisis. Ferdinand Piëch turned the tables on Porsche and arranged its acquisition by Volkswagen instead. But during this period, Porsche introduced its rival to the Mercedes S-Class, the Panamera. Yet again, the new model's looks were considered unacceptable, and it still wasn't a sports car. Under Volkswagen's control from 2011, Porsche rapidly pumped out new and updated model lines. Porsche has flourished under the Volkswagen banner, and its future looks assured. But it is a future that will include SUVs, plug-in hybrids and full battery electric vehicles. A far cry from the company's original sports car, the 356.